Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are taking our very first look at the new Tier 8 American Light Cruiser Seattle. But before we get into that, remember we are on the path to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you enjoy what I do on a daily basis, bringing you guys fun content from multiple different games, not just World of Warships Legends, then make sure you guys punch that subscribe button, be a part of something great. So, with that being said, let's look at our commanders. We're running Norman Scott with Charles Madden and Francesco Membelli as our inspirations. We have Beyond Range, Igniter, Armed and Ready, and Fixated with our refill station. So we are going full DPM-ish build here, okay? So keep that in mind. This is a DPM sort of build. Okay, now let's look at our loadout. We're running Aiming Systems Mod 1, Steering Gears Mod 2, Steering Gears Mod 3, and we are running Main Battery Mod 3 for the reload. Now, that being said, this one may actually be the idea, like you might want to take this off and go with this one, because you get the extra range with this, plus you get better dispersion, and you don't make the turrets even slower. So one of my biggest complaints with this so far is that this actually has terrible turret traverse for a light cruiser. And again, that particular mod's not helping. Now, obviously, we are running our Epic Battle Booster for a little bit more range. And I didn't realize, but you could actually swap the sonar for defensive fire, but let's be honest, unless you're guaranteeing yourself in a carrier game, probably not the best idea. And then, of course, you can swap your repair party out if you want for a catapult fighter or a spotter plane. Also, not a good idea. You're gonna want your repair party, and obviously, it's got an American radar. A little bit longer duration. It's 35 seconds duration, but it's still only 9 kilometers, which is not ideal. And the reason I say not ideal is because at these higher tiers, like, getting within 9 kilometers of a destroyer without getting yeeted by a battleship and a light cruiser, especially this one, we'll go over the armor here in a second, but it is pretty rough. Now, we are running the Italian Unity flag. Doesn't do anything other than just looks kind of like a Spartan helmet, even though we know it's not. And then I made the anniversary blue camo permanent for this thing because I like the way it looks, which gives us a sea detectability range of -4.5 plus income firing plus 4.5, okay? So camo's definitely worth it, okay? Survivability, 43,600 hit points with a 4% torpedo damage reduction. That seems a little bit, generous. I wouldn't say that this thing has any torpedo reduction. If you're taking torpedoes in this thing, you've got bigger problems. Artillery, 152 millimeter 47 caliber DP Mark 17 main batteries. You get 12 of them in a 4x3 configuration, firing out to 17.4 kilometers with this build with a 5-second reload. These guns are accurate as crap with this build. But, as I stated, the 180-degree turn time on these is abysmal. And again, our mod isn't helping us with the turn time, so keep that in mind. This is literally battleship turn time on a light cruiser that needs to be able to dodge shells occasionally. It's rough. HE shell maximum damage 2,300 with a 17% chance to set fire, which is actually pretty good for a light cruiser. And then AP shell maximum damage of 3,500 if you get a broadside of anything. I've said it before, I'll say it again. American AP, doesn't matter what you're in. If somebody gives you a broadside, you switch to AP and you just chunk the out of them. This thing is fully capable, just like the Cleveland, just like the Worcester, fully capable of absolutely murdering battleships who decide to give them a broadside at closer range. Getting 7,000 to 10,000 damage salvos of AP on a broadside battleship is not unrealistic. And then on top of that, you're doing that every 5 seconds. That means a lot of hit points disappearing real quick for a battleship who's dumb enough to go broadside. AA defense is surprisingly low, but these do have dual-purpose main battery guns. So 20mm Oerlikon Mark IVs, you get 24 of those doing 86 damage per second, reaching out to 2 kilometers. Then you have the 40mm Bofors Mark II, you get 48 of those doing 191 damage per second, reaching out to 3.5 kilometers. And then you have the 152mm 47 caliber DP Mark 17 dual-purpose, that's what the DP stands for, The dual-purpose Mark 17, you get 12 of those, obviously doing 90 damage per second and reaching out to 6 kilometers, which is actually pretty respectable for a standoff AA. Of course, it's AAA and you don't get a lot of damage per second out of it, but it does help. Maneuverability, though, 34 knot top speed's actually pretty good for an American light cruiser, I feel. Turning circles, pretty bad. It's about what a Alabama class or a South Dakota class battleship is. So keep that in mind. Even with this rudder shift at 4.2 seconds, this thing takes a while to turn. So keep that in mind. Concealment. We did not take a concealment mod, so our concealment's pretty bad as well. 12.2 kilometers by sea, 7.7 by air. 2 was always guaranteed, 6.3 detectability while firing in smoke. Now, obviously, with everything that I just said, you could take the concealment mod. That would drop you down to like a 10 kilometers, 10.8 kilometers detectability. But the way I see it is you're probably going to be firing your guns more often than not anyway. So having that detectability any lower than this isn't necessarily a benefit. You know what I'm saying? It's always good to have concealment, but you're going to be firing your guns pretty much all the time in this thing. So you're not going to take advantage of it most times anyway. Armor. That's where this thing just is not good. Okay, this thing does not have armor. This is a glorified Cleveland with an exposed citadel that just gets you yeeted, okay? You will get yeeted. This is like pre-buff Worcester yeets, okay? If you get caught by a battleship in this, you're going to get yeeted. Now, I haven't been citadel through the bow yet, but you still take every pin through the bow. It's got a 25 millimeter bow, so it cannot bow tank anything 15 inches or larger. So keep that in mind. Any guns from 15 inches and up will go straight through your bow. But it doesn't matter because you've got so little armor everywhere else. Your superstructure, your deck armor, like you just don't have it. There's no armor. Trying to angle in this thing against anything other than a light cruiser is going to get you yeeted. Ask me how I know. I tried to angle against a Buffalo. He citadeled me with every single shell. Not an ideal scenario. Okay, so any heavy cruiser, any battleship that you come up against, if you try to angle, you're going to get yeeted. All right, so best bet is to not get hit if at all possible. You want to use islands as best you can, and when you go up against a light cruiser, then you can kind of angle and do your job. Okay, but other than that, you do not want to be taking hits in this thing. So let's get rid of that and show you guys the exposed citadel. It is above the waterline, and there's nothing protecting it. It literally is the armor that you see. You think you had a belt armor. You don't have belt armor. You have your citadel exposed, sitting right there for every battleship that looks at you or every heavy cruiser that looks at you to exploit. So be prepared to get yeeted at least a few times while you're learning how to play this ship. Okay? Overview. Surgical shells. A short fuse time results in lower chances of overpenetration. And this is something that I actually realized when I was fighting the Buffalo. I was struggling to citadel it. And I didn't know why. Even with using the... at the time, I had the extra penetration and stuff on. Even with that, I was struggling to citadel a Buffalo at short range. So keep that in mind. Anything that's got decent chunk of armor on it, you're not necessarily going to citadel. You'll still chunk the crap out of them because you're not overpinning. You're going to get full pins, but you're not going to get the big citadel hits unless it's a light cruiser, and I'll showcase some of that in a little bit. But reloader above average main battery reload speed, it ain't no joke. It's a high-tier light cruiser. You got all the DACA that you could ever ask for. Sluggish shot, difficult to aim at long distances, but let's be clear. You got auto aim in the game to help you with that, and then on top of that, like... if you've played any American light cruisers or heavy cruisers at this point, you should be used to how the shells fly at long ranges. So being able to land shells consistently at long ranges, plus you get a 5-second reload. So if you miss the first shot, you just start leading it in. You will eventually bring the fire hose on the enemy. So let's check it out. Seattle, one of the first versions of a U.S. Navy light cruiser with a dual-purpose 6-inch artillery as the main battery. Further development of the project led to the creation of the Worcester class cruisers. Year of design 1941. Doesn't say any of them were built, but this sounds like it was a nice little like blueprint for what led to the Worcester. Okay, so with that, let's take a look at this thing. It's an American light cruiser. It's not a lot to look at. It's a pretty decent looking ship. These turrets are pretty ugly. Let's be real. Like, these turrets are pretty freaking ugly. And like I said, they are slow as crap. So maybe drop the extra reload on the last module and go for the range and dispersion. But I went for a DPM build, so I've got to put up with it. And I'll show you that in the game. But other than that, I do love this camo on this ship. This is a clean camo. It's not too gaudy, you know what I mean? It's just a nice, clean camo. It's got good angles. The United States was pretty known for using blues and stuff in their camos as well. So it's not out of the realm of possibility something like this would exist on a cruiser or battleship. But with all of that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on North, and we just happened to run into somebody you guys may have heard of. None other than Jankonomics, or Yonkonomics. I always say that my way, and I'm not sure if that's correct. Jank has never corrected me on it, so I'll just assume that I'm not entirely wrong, or at least I'm not offending him. But he's on the left side in a destroyer. He's calling for my support early, and I'm like, I spawned middle. I'm going to try to help both sides. So that's my goal. And I'm in the Seattle, and like I said, this thing, if you are capable of using this correctly, is nasty. It's an American light cruiser. It's got ridiculous DPM. It's got HE and AP, fully capable of punishing anything that you come up against. It's got a good radar. It's got, you know, the only thing it doesn't really have is survivability. And honestly, I mean, you're not meant to be open water gunboating this thing. This thing is meant to be behind an island. It's meant to be close quarters with other destroyers and stuff spotting for you so that you can support them with a radar if necessary. And so that's the position, that's the role that we're going to try to fill in this match. And we're going to have a pretty solid match. It's not going to be the highest damage game in the world, but we're going to do a lot to help our team pull off this dubski. So, hopefully you guys are ready. It's going to be a good one. Right off the bat, we have the Carnot. I mean, it's the Carno, but still, Carnot. But yeah, we're gonna immediately showcase the power of the HE of this thing by slapping a Carno around just a little bit. I say that as we miss, but not ideal. It's okay. We have an Ostergotland that is looking like he's going to go into the middle. We have a Fletcher in the middle, but he's in a position where the battleship is taking up position like we just did in the previous game. If you guys remember yesterday's video, I showed exactly what this battleship is doing right now, which is crossfiring our team on the A-cap. So our team on the A-cap has to be careful here. They don't want to get caught. Now here you can see I'm starting to look at potential shots on the Kansas. Again, looking at those crossfires, trying to help where I can, maybe set some fires. We haven't done much as of yet. And again, look how long these shells take. But watch how accurate they are when you do start to land shells. Like, these shells are falling on a postage stamp by the time they get there. Yes, they take a while. Yes, it may take you a few salvos to lead the target in the right group. But as soon as you figure out how far you got to lead to get these things on target, like, unleash all the Deca. And it is pretty disgusting. Now here you can see there's torpedoes over here at the Charlie Cap. Our guy is potentially getting rushed by a destroyer, so I'm going to put myself in a position to help take care of that. Now obviously they are contesting. They have a repub that's moving into the cap who's about to eat some torpedoes, I believe, and take a permanent flood, and we're going to put ourselves in a position to counter the destroyer. We get destroyer gets spotted initially. We're going to go ahead and put some shots on target. Remember, this is pretty early on. I don't have a whole lot of experience in this ship, but I'm immediately able to land massive salvos on this Lightning at short range and start destroying him. So all his health is just gone. He's lost half his hit points already. He's also almost in range of our radar here. You can see we are kind of a little bit further out, but we have the island to cover us. We have a shot at the repub who has fired his guns despite not being spotted. Sometimes you got to learn when you don't want to fire your guns as a battleship, but we immediately get a fire. He's got the perma flood going, and if we land into the superstructure, we're going to be landing all the damage. But Harbin manages to get the kill with the flooding. And you can see I'm going to turn towards the cap and I'm going to radar. Now remember, this is a decently long radar, but unfortunately we're a little bit too far. I thought maybe he was creeping out because we are spotted, and he is a little bit, but it takes a second for us to get in range. But as soon as we do, this guy's screwed. He tries to panic smoke, but he's radared, so there's nothing he can do here. The destroyer is going to be able to do more than us at this point, and Harbin gets to easily, or I guess it's the cruiser, gets to easily take him out. Now, initially, I see the Weimar over here, so I'm going to try to help with him, but likelihood of us hitting the Weimar, who's probably going to start kiting, plus we managed to shoot the crap out of the top of the mountain over there, but we take a shot at him. You can see he's turning away. He's not a threat. That's when I look back and I have the Ostergotland that is charging into what appears to be Jankonomics coming back towards the mid. So we're going to try to cover our team as best we can. First shot out again, we get one shell on target. He disappears because I think we were the ones spotting at the time. And our battleship apparently can't spot him. So we're going to push back towards that cap. You can see Jank was actually the one that said, hey, requesting support. I'm like, yep, I got you. I'm on my way. That's when the Ostergotland apparently didn't see us, or he just thought that he could do more than he could, because he is caught between me, Jank, and a battleship. Like, this is never a good position to be in any destroyer. A light cruiser on one side, a destroyer on the other, you're screwed. Like, you can't kill us all, and you're not likely to kill either of us, because as soon as I open up the full deck of firepower on this thing, it's just death for a destroyer. Like, it is. 16 shells on target's all it took to finish that guy off, to put that into perspective. Now, Pommern is thinking he's going to YOLO up in here, but what he fails to realize is that the destroyer that was just shooting the other destroyer has already torped him, and he just doesn't know it yet. He comes around the corner, eats all the torps, but in his last-ditch effort, throws some torps out of his own, just randomly, hoping for the best, I guess. And honestly, it was a pretty well-timed torpedo shot. I'll be real. He could have gotten me here, but fortunately, I was already running my sonar because we were in a fight with the destroyer, so I didn't potato into those torps. Now here, I was feeling pretty good. I've got a Carno right here in the right on the edge of the cap. The Kansas is far enough away, so I'm thinking, okay, let's go in here and beat up on this Carno. Now, watch what we end up doing here. I totally overestimated the amount of damage I would be getting on this Carno with AG. Fletcher gets himself into a pickle, and it's like, okay, well, that's not going to end in your favor, Sunshine. Like, we just proved this about, I don't know, 2 minutes ago. You should have seen what happened to the other guy. And, of course, we get the shot on target, and just as we get the shot, we managed to finish him off. I thought somebody yoinked that one, I'm not going to lie. I saw shells coming in at the last second. I thought he was going to yoink it. But we managed to accidentally beach ourselves on the island, and for whatever reason, I can't reverse, so now I've got to go forward. I think it may have actually saved our life for the first shot, because there are torps headed that direction, but it also was, you know, Kansas potentially shooting us here. But you can see we're doing quite a bit of damage. We're trying to go for the superstructure here, and we do get the perma-fire here. That's going to help tick away at him. The battleship's shooting him. He's doing a pretty good job of staying angled. I was willing to switch to AP at any moment if he gives me the shot, but he just doesn't. And here you can see we're starting to hit his guns quite a bit, which is going to be shattering a lot of our shells. But we're just not doing the damage that I was hoping for on this Carno. Like, we were aiming superstructure. We're hitting a lot of guns now because we're right off the bow. Kansas lands a nasty shot through our bow, and again, we were expecting that. Carno is going to end up eating a torp here at the last possible second. Like, we did everything to that man, and then Jank gets the kill with the torpedo of all things. But Kansas is out there just begging for some fires, so we're going to try to get him. He already knocked out one of our guns temporarily. We're slowing down, hoping that this guy just misses, you know. At this point, the guy's 13 kilometers away. I'm hoping that he doesn't realize that we slowed down. That, unfortunately, is not the case, as he lands darn near every one of his shells right down the pipe. Kansas do be slapping, is what I'm saying. Kansas is a nasty little turd burglar. I'm telling you, when you're on the receiving end of a Kansas salvo, especially in a cruiser, like, you're in trouble. But here, I'm trying to turn left. Jank is actually trying to push through, and this could have ended really badly for me. I didn't realize he was there, and I'm trying to turn back because obviously there's a cruiser behind us, and my eyes are now on him. The kiting Kansas is not my priority. He's already slapped me once, and there's nothing stopping him from doing it again. So, as you can see, he takes a shot at us here, but thank God he fucking loads AG. I don't understand that. I don't know why that was his thought process, but it was. Once again, our booty gets stuck on the island as we try to go around it. That is one thing about having these really long American cruisers, is they do get caught on a lot of stuff when you're trying to, like, because you saw me dodge the island. I didn't dodge, or I didn't hit the island, but the rear snags itself on the island. Now here, we are sonared. Now pay attention to that. We are sonared already. We've got the guy lit up on radar because we were trying to help our teammates potentially deal with him, but unfortunately everybody went the other direction, so nobody's in a position to deal with this Plymouth. He knows that I'm here. He sees me on sonar. We do not need to keep him lit up at the moment. You can see there's nobody there, so what we're going to do is we're going to hold up. We're actually going to light him up in case our battleship that's going behind us has got a shot around the island. We've got 1:30 minutes on the clock. This guy's sonar will eventually run out, right? He started his sonar well before I did, so his sonar is going to run out long before mine does. Which means his smoke is about to work in his disadvantage. And there goes his sonar. And as soon as I drop spot, I'm like, alright, it's time to start pieing the corner. You can see Jank is like, dude, get back. You're going to get lit up. Going broadside to a Plymouth is never a good idea. What Jank didn't realize at the time is that there is a smoke screen between us, and he doesn't have me lit up anymore. And this is where I start to feel pretty freaking good about this engagement. Because if I can get around here and get a good look at his broadside while I have him lit up on sonar, it's a GG. Like, I will Citadel the ever-living crap out of this guy easily. Or so I thought. So, yeah, one thing to remember here, as soon as I open fire, we're well within smoke firing penalty, right? So, we only get one good look at this guy before he starts to be able to shoot back. You can see he starts to go forward in a little bit of a panic. We aim waterline, we take the shot, and we start off by taking a good chunk off of his health, 2 Citadels, and then we start to get angled because we know he's got really good AP. Those shells, unfortunately, all hit the water. You can see I'm taking a lot of hits here. We get another Citadel on him. He's trying to torp us, and you know, the Plymouth versus us, this is a pretty good fight. Both of us are fully capable of Citadeling each other. We're both landing good salvos, but I get angled away first, and then I also manage to kill his torp tubes. We're aiming superstructure, and then we have the ability to load AG. And that is the biggest difference between British cruisers and American cruisers, or pretty much any other cruiser for that matter, because we are allowed to load AG. We're able to finish him off even when he is angled really well. So well played by Jank in this one, well played by me as well. We did everything we needed to do. 121,000 damage, Confederate, top of the leaderboard. Jank coming in second. We did over 3,000 base XP in this one. Jank with 2,500 base for himself. So pretty solid effort by the both of us. Let me know what you guys think. Is the Seattle worth it? In my opinion, if you like light cruisers, then sure. But if you've got the Cleveland and you've got the freaking Worcester, then there is absolutely no reason you would ever need to get to Seattle. Because both the Cleveland and the Worcester, in my opinion, are better than the Seattle. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.